The FA Cup is made up of great memories, and it's the great players who give us the great goals that live forever. Coming up, a treat for Arsenal fans as we remember their greatest scorers in this collection of ultimate goals. The 1979 FA Cup final between Manchester United and Arsenal will always be remembered for a dramatic winner. But this game also produced a fine goal from Frank Stapleton.
Liam Brady, known in the game as Chippy, of course, on that famous left foot of his. The ball is good, the goal is good too, and Arsenal may well be on their way thanks to Frank Stapleton, his 6th FA Cup goal of the campaign. His 24th of a fabulous season, but what work from the mesmeric Brady, all on his left foot until that moment. He chipped it with the right. Stapleton nodded his approval, and the ball's in the Manchester United net for a second time.
After a stuttering start to his career in England, it was a scoring run in the 2001 FA Cup campaign that cemented Sylvain Wiltor's reputation at Arsenal.
Laurent, very smart turn by the Cameroon international, and he's got Perez in here. Really good chance. Oh, Wiltor! What a start! Well, he took a while to settle at Highbury, but boy is he making his mark now. Sylvain Wiltor. Delightfully set up here by Perez and Laurent. And what a sweet finish by Wiltor. 2 against Chelsea, 2 against Queen's Park Rangers, the winner at Carlisle, and now he's got his team off to a flyer here. Arsenal 1, Blackburn 0, Sylvain Wiltor.
Luis Boa Morte arrived at Arsenal in 1997 from Sporting Lisbon. He made only 2 FA Cup appearances for the Gunners, but still managed to score this well-worked goal in the 3rd round tie against Preston North End. The Portuguese forward receiving the ball on the edge of the box and firing the shot into the far corner. Boa Morte went on to join Arsenal's cross-city rivals Fulham. This 4th round replay took place 10 days after Leeds had held Arsenal to a 2-2 draw at Highbury. Alan Smith got the visitors off to a flying start.
See right who pulls it in, and Arsenal do lead. Alan Smith venomously from inside the 6-yard area. Great play from Wright though. He shrugged off the attentions of Shutt and pulled it in there, and Smith was the first to react. He got in front of his marker and rammed it in beyond the helpless goalkeeper Lukic.
Mark Overmars arrived at Arsenal as a £7 million signing from Ajax in 1997. He made an immediate impact in the FA Cup with this opening goal in the 4th round tie at the Riverside Stadium against Middlesbrough. The Dutch international running onto a perfectly weighted pass from fellow countryman Dennis Bergkamp, coolly slotting home into the Borough goal. Thierry Henry's been a revelation since joining Arsenal from Juventus in 1999 for £10.4 million. Here he made light work of the Watford defence, finishing off an outstanding Arsenal counter-attack. It's the Frenchman who starts off the move before a neat 1-2 with Patrick Vieira. Henry finishing with characteristic aplomb, rounding Alec Chamberlain in the Watford goal. Tony Adams using his physical presence to full effect, this time in the opposition penalty area.
It's another goal, Tony Adams! Well, once again, dreadful defending by Blackburn, but Tony Adams has headed in almost unchallenged here. Ashley Cole with the corner. Friedel has stayed at home, and no one got up higher then than Adams. An emphatic header dispatched it to the corner. Climbing high above Marcus Bent. No response from Friedel, and it's 2-0 to Arsenal, and we've only just been playing 5 minutes.
This was maybe the most important goal of Eddie Kelly's entire career. The Scottish midfielder with the equaliser in extra time to set up a dramatic finale to the 1971 Cup final against Liverpool. The casual overhead flick from Charlie George, putting Liverpool's defence under pressure. Kelly just managing to prod the ball through a ruck of bodies and into the net. Arsenal were already 3-0 up against Queen's Park Rangers when Sylvain Wiltord scored with this cracking volley.
Wiltord. It's number 4. It's 2 for Wiltord. They've left him unmarked here. Darlington really didn't get to him in time. Miss kick by Langley that might just have put off McCloskey. I think he might have got to it, otherwise the keeper clearly distracted by his own defender, but they've allowed him a free strike on goal then. Sylvain Wiltord. On 57 minutes, it's Queen's Park Rangers 0, Arsenal 4, and they are threatening now to run riot.
George Armstrong was well known for his incredible work rate. The workaholic winger was better known for setting up Arsenal goals than scoring them, but this strike in a fourth round replay against Coventry showed he also had an eye for goal. Pat Rice supplied the ammunition on this occasion with a searching ball to the far post. The unassuming northeasterner arriving to give the Gunners an early 1-0 lead. Emmanuel Petit arrived at Arsenal on the same day as Mark Overmars in June 1997. Both players got onto the score sheet in this game. Petit first, with a curling free kick to level the scores at 2-2. After a move to Barcelona, Petit joined City rivals Chelsea and played against Arsenal in the 2002 FA Cup final. Ian Wright with the equaliser here to take a fourth round replay at Elland Road into extra time.
In goes Campbell, here comes Wright, 2-2, he's done it yet again, and Ian Wright has kept the tie alive for Arsenal. It bobbled in beyond Lukic's reach, it wasn't his most vicious strike, but it was accuracy that got the ball into the net from Ian Wright. He has his 18th goal of the season, and what a critical one for Arsenal. 2-2 now here.
Freddie Ljungberg got the final touch to net this first half goal against Watford, but the whole team has to take credit for a sweeping move. The Nigerian international Kanu sprung the Watford defence with a tidy turn to release Thierry Henry. The Frenchman leaving Ljungberg with a straightforward finish. This was the goal from Ljungberg that put Arsenal into the 2003 FA Cup final, albeit in controversial circumstances.
Now Jeffers might get a shooting opportunity here. Wiltor off the post, Wiltor again. And then in, yes, from Freddie Ljungberg. The home fans still howling in derision. United had a player down injured. Play was allowed to go on, and Arsenal, through Freddie Ljungberg, have taken full advantage. Might have been a hint of offside there for Jeffers. He kept battling away. Wiltord's shot rebounding off the upright. Seemed maybe they had cope then, Sheffield United, but it wasn't to be as Ljungberg arrived on the scene. The hero of last season's FA Cup final, Freddie Ljungberg, coming up with another vital goal.
Just months after joining Arsenal from Wolves for £240,000, Alan Sunderland was playing against his former club at Highbury. He celebrated the occasion with a goal. A powerful downward header from Graham Rix's free kick. The Yorkshire-born forward went on to score 15 goals in 3 FA Cup campaigns with Arsenal. Nwankwo Kanu opened his Arsenal account with this crucial quarter-final goal against Derby.
This is Keown! Driven in by Kanu! Oh, the relief around Highbury from the Arsenal fans, and what dejection for those who've travelled down from the East Midlands to support Derby County. They have hung on and hung on and hung on. And it looks now as if their efforts have been in vain. The substitute, Kanu, has scored for Arsenal. Driven in there after Keown's effort is charged down. A dramatic finale to this FA Cup quarter-final. Kanu, the Nigerian international, scores his first goal for the Gunners.
John Hartson became the most expensive teenager in English football when George Graham signed him from Luton Town for £2.5 million. The Welshman showed trademark aggression to power home this header against Sunderland. After winning over the Highbury faithful with a string of similarly committed displays, Hartson was sold to local rivals West Ham for £3.3 million. A vital goal for the Brazilian midfielder as Arsenal clashed with Manchester United on their way to the 2003 FA Cup final.
Edu and Pires. It will be Edu. It's taken a deflection and it's in! Arsenal lead. Edu, the man who's been drafted in today in place of his compatriot Gilberto, has struck for the Gunners. Might have come off. It certainly came off the United wall, off the defenders there. Hard to see whether it was Beckham or Ferdinand maybe. It's certainly wrong-footed Fabian Barthez.
Arsenal's Dutch ace with one of the FA Cup goals of the 96-97 season. It came against Sunderland at Roker Park.
Dennis Bergkamp. Oh, that's a lovely, sublime piece of skill from Bergkamp. Oh, and he finishes with an even better piece of skill. That's a fantastic team goal and a fabulous individual goal as well. Bergkamp, the touches here are just incredible, and the finish, well, the only word is sublime. Yet another Dutch masterpiece. Sunderland just could not contain him, and Dennis Bergkamp here has brought the house down.
Frank Stapleton was most famous for his aerial prowess, but in this semi-final against Wolves at Villa Park, he showed he was just as adept with the ball at his feet. The tenacious Brian Talbot started the move, winning the ball, feeding it through to David Price, who in turn picked out the Republic of Ireland international. Mark Overmars was an integral part of Arsenal's 1998 double-winning side. 2 years later, he was back in the hunt for FA Cup glory in a third-round tie against Blackpool. The Dutch star collecting a pass from Kanu and executing a marvellous low drive to make the score 3-1 in Arsenal's favour, completing a miserable night for the Seaside club. Freddie Ljungberg with the opening goal in this Arsenal's 10th Cup final appearance.
Raimondi stabbing it forward quickly, and Liverpool might be stretched now. It's Ljungberg going all the way through. Freddie Ljungberg! 1-0 in the 72nd minute. A breakthrough for Arsenal, but they have been threatening throughout this second half.
Well, it's been coming, as you say, Peter. I mean, they've had 2 or 3 chances already that they'd be sad not to have scored with, and certainly that was a wonderful run by Ljungberg there into the box. We've seen him do that many times throughout the season, and he took it calmly around Westerveld.
Ljungberg, the hero of Arsenal.
Brian Talbot joined Arsenal after winning the FA Cup with Ipswich Town in 1978. He won the Cup again with Arsenal the following season, this time opening the scoring as Arsenal beat Manchester United. He continued his scoring form in the Cup with the powerful header against Liverpool in the third semi-final replay. This goal was enough to set up a third Cup final appearance in a row, this time for Arsenal against West Ham United. Ray Parlour with the first goal for the home side as Arsenal look to reduce a 2-goal deficit in a fourth-round tie against Leeds United.
Still Parlour, a storming run and a storming goal for Arsenal. They're back in it now. Well, just the sort of attitude and enterprise that the situation demanded from the home side. Leeds brushed aside by the sheer determination of Parlour. It's a brilliant effort. Arsenal 1, Leeds 2.
En route to their 11th Cup final appearance in the 2002 campaign, Arsenal dispatched local rivals Watford in the third round. Kanu gave Arsenal an unassailable lead with the Gunners' third goal of the afternoon. The Nigerians starting and finishing this move with a slide rule pass to release Patrick Vieira down the right, the former Inter Milan striker, then heading home, the Frenchman's pinpoint cross. Gordon Banks in the Stoke City goal could do nothing to stop this powerful George Graham header as Arsenal took a 1-0 lead in the semi-final replay at Villa Park. The Scot rising unchallenged to meet George Armstrong's corner, giving the England keeper no chance. Arsenal went on to win this game 2-0. And there was to be no fairy tale Wembley final appearance for Stoke, who were playing in their first semi-final in 70 years. This goal from Swedish international Anders Limpar showed the mercurial midfielder at his best.
And Limpar's still going. Oh, it's a fantastic solo run from Anders Limpar. Arsenal are level, and the Swedish international just took Leeds apart. So much to do, and done with a real swagger. Brilliant goal.
A first-half goal by Paul Merson kept the Gunners in this third-round tie against West Ham United. Arsenal were trailing 2-0 and were in desperate need of a little bit of Merse magic. The West Ham defence caught napping by the maverick midfielder as he grabbed his 9th goal of the season. Merson was on fire in this game. A second goal by him forced a replay back at Highbury. Ian Wright is Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer. This strike against Nottingham Forest showed he had quality as well as quantity in his game.
Well, they're playing it around at the back. Nottingham Forest is a little bit risky. And now they've got to turn. And Wright gives them no time to readjust. Over-elaboration from Nottingham Forest. Plain and simple from Ian Wright. In terms of speed and class, that's a cracker. Just onside. And absolutely no hesitation after that.
With the score tied at 2-2, Alan Sunderland produced one of the most famous goals in Arsenal's FA Cup history.
Here's the ball in towards Alan Sunderland! Arsenal surely have won it now. Incredible scenes at Wembley. There have been so many historic moments, magical moments in FA Cup finals, and this will go down along with the best.
On their way to the 1998 FA Cup final, Arsenal were taken to a quarter-final replay by West Ham. Nicolas Anelka opened the scoring for the Gunners. The French star combining superbly with compatriot Patrick Vieira, driving the shot past Xhaka Hislop in the West Ham goal. Anelka capped a memorable cup campaign by scoring Arsenal's second in the FA Cup final, but he'd play only one more season before departing for Spanish giants Real Madrid. Few Arsenal players have promised as much as Kevin Campbell. After blasting 94 goals for the Arsenal reserves, Campbell finally got his chance in the first team. This looping header against Cambridge United showed the powerful striker at his best. After Campbell had put Arsenal into the lead here, Cambridge threatened a major upset when they managed an equaliser, but there would be no giant killing when Tony Adams put Arsenal safely into the next round. This first half goal by Robert Pires was enough to win the 2003 FA Cup for Arsenal.
Henry, now Bergkamp. Played it Paul Ljungberg, and then Pires. Yes! Arsenal take the lead on 37 minutes. Robert Pires.
I was only just thinking to myself how quiet Pires has been in this opening 37 minutes, and then, as all great players do, they pop up with something. And there's Pires. He doesn't miss the target from there, and although Niemi got a hand to it, there was nothing more he could do with it.
1-0 down, and with their backs to the wall, Arsenal were on their way to being knocked out of the FA Cup by Leicester City. But against the run of play, John Radford finished off a move to turn the game. A hopeful Leicester punt upfield was easily dealt with by the Arsenal defence. Eddie Kelly's glorious pass forward caught the Foxes' backline off guard, and Radford steered the ball into the empty net. Kelly would go on to get the winner himself, but team goals like this show why Arsenal was such a force throughout the 70s. In 1982, Terry Neal, the incumbent manager, paid £400,000 for the Yugoslav international Vladimir Petrovic. His Arsenal career lasted just 22 games, but he was a joy to watch every time he put on the number 7 shirt. Linking effortlessly with his teammates, he was the linchpin in this attack, a patient build-up paying off when he stole into the box to execute a perfect finish. The 1971 FA Cup final was poised at 1-1 with a replay looking inevitable, but then came a dramatic moment towards which Arsenal's season seemed to have been building.
Charlie George, here is Charlie George! My goodness me, what a goal! They love him at Highbury. This may be the goal that has won the FA Cup for Arsenal against Liverpool. Charlie George, a thunderous right foot. Clements can't get there. The ball in the net. Arsenal fans jubilant.
On a cold January evening at Vale Park, Dennis Bergkamp conjured up a piece of magic, setting Arsenal's FA Cup run in motion.
Still the struggle goes on. And now Bergkamp! At last for Arsenal. There's been so much resistance here and indeed at Highbury before it from Port Vale. But it's blown aside there by the superb skills of Dennis Bergkamp. Port Vale 0, Arsenal 1.
Any fears Arsenal fans may have had of a cup giant killing at Hoosh Park were quickly allayed by one man. Ian Wright bagging a hat-trick that day, but this was the second, and even the Yeovil fans had to applaud. Having now claimed the number 8 shirt as his own, the former Crystal Palace striker had already scored 10 goals before Christmas, and he started the new year in the same vein. Pouncing on the defensive error deep in the Yeovil half, he spotted the keeper off his line and with the deftest of touches chipped into the net with perfection. "2-0 down to their greatest rivals in the first FA Cup semi-final to be played at Wembley, Arsenal were thrown a lifeline by Alan Smith. With half-time looming, Lee Dixon managed to get forward to good effect, sending in a sweeping cross. Smith did the rest, and the fans rejoiced. Sandwiched between two defenders, he rose to direct the ball toward Erik Thorstvedt's left post. A goal to give the Gunners hope, but in the end, it would be Tottenham's day. After overcoming Preston North End in the third round, Arsenal continued their defence of the FA Cup with victory over Wolves.
He's got support on the right, Overmars, but he goes for goal! Arsenal have the lead here. And Mark Overmars in the end spurned the options and did the job himself. Beautifully placed. And the Gunners have really got going here at Molineux.
In the fourth round FA Cup tie at Loftus Road in 2001, Arsenal were rampant. Already 4-0 up, Robert Pires was on hand to finish the best move of the game.
But first time football from Arsenal. Looking far more confident now. And it's Perez. Might go all the way here. 5-0. And Queen's Park Rangers in disarray. Excellent play on the counter-attack. Parlour's vision. Perez with the finish. And it's all gone horribly wrong now for the First Division team. The class of Arsenal is shining through.
Ray Parlour's strike against Middlesbrough was typical of his performances during Arsenal's double-winning season. Noted more for hard graft than goal-scoring, he has shone under the stewardship of Arsene Wenger, and he was instrumental in the Gunners' success in this year. Nicolas Anelka's through ball dissected the Borough defence, and without breaking stride, Parlour slotted the ball past the advancing keeper. In the sixth round of the 1983 FA Cup, Arsenal were drawn at home to the reigning European champions Aston Villa.
Now Sansom. Oh, Sunderland's missed it, but Woodcock hasn't. First blood here to Arsenal. Can they sense a semi-final? Hooked back by Sansom. It was too much for Sunderland, but it fell perfectly for Tony Woodcock.
A tricky tie at Preston North End saw Arsenal turn a 2-goal deficit into a 4-2 victory, and the travelling fans could relax when Mark Overmars popped up to score the goal of the game 10 minutes from time. Luis Boamorte's pass cleverly dummied by Silvinho. He let the ball run through to Overmars. With a drop of the shoulder and a shimmy to the left, Overmars left his marker standing to slot the ball past the advancing keeper. Cool, calm and collected football at its best. A disappointing draw at Highbury meant Arsenal had it all to do in this replay at Roker Park, but a brave header by Stephen Hughes gave Arsenal a 2-goal lead to take them safely through to the fourth round in the 1997 FA Cup campaign. A match in which the youngster shone. It was Hughes' first goal for the club at senior level. Anticipating Hughes' run, Paul Merson's delightful chip cross had Lionel Perez flapping in no man's land. At the risk of receiving a boot in the face, Hughes stooped to head the ball home. When you have the luxury of a team full of skillful players, even a route one goal can be something special. Sylvain Wiltor demonstrates how. Igor Stepanov's probing pass from deep inside his own half, catching the Chelsea defence flat-footed. Marcel Desailly's last-ditch lunge, failing to connect with the ball, and Wiltor lobbing the onrushing Carlo Cudicini. Simple football, executed to devastating effect. The FA Cup can be a great leveller, but in 1978 Arsenal's win over Walsall in the fifth round meant there would be no fairy tale ending for the third division outfit.
It's David Price who cuts it back, and at the near post, Frank Stapleton. Well, it was a fine flowing Arsenal move, and the difference in class between the two clubs very evident here. And Stapleton had the space to guide it in at the near post.
It was perhaps inevitable that the opening goal in Arsenal's unprecedented rematch against Sheffield United would be scored by Mark Overmars. After all, it was his controversial strike in the initial tie that prompted calls for a rerun. The irony wasn't lost in his celebration. Dennis Bergkamp's intended pass to Overmars is intercepted by Stephen Hughes. He takes it in his stride and does well to poke the ball forward. Overmars' finish is clinical and precise. Villain turned hero in one sweet strike, and this time, no complaints over the outcome. Arsenal started their 1973 FA Cup campaign aiming to reach the final for the third time in as many years. The game against Leicester City in the third round ended in stalemate, but Ray Kennedy's goal was a moment to savour. Aged 15, Kennedy had been told by Stanley Matthews that he wasn't good enough to play professionally. 2 years later, he signed for Arsenal and played a key role in the club's subsequent success. This strike alone speaks for itself. The Gunners failed to reach the final, but Kennedy would become one of the most decorated players ever in the English game. Having forced a draw from 2-0 down at Highbury, the return match looked to be going the same way. But deep into extra time, Ian Wright struck to send Leeds United crashing out of the cup.
Ian Wright may have wrapped it up for Arsenal. Lukic couldn't keep it out. He is an absolute winner, Ian Wright. He is a diamond for Arsenal, and he has come up with a goal here to silence Ellen Road and maybe to knock Leeds United out of the FA Cup.
Losing in the FA Cup semi-final to your fiercest rivals is soul-destroying, as Arsenal found out in 1991. But revenge was sweet.
Oh, it's Adams! Absolutely made the header his. It's a grim moment for Tottenham, but sheer delight for Arsenal and their captain, Tony Adams. Clipped up by Paul Merson. And Adams could hardly have made it sweeter than that.
When you think of prolific goal scorers, Gilles Grimandi is probably not the first player to spring to mind, but in the third round of the 2000 FA Cup campaign against Blackpool, the Frenchman's strike was up with the best of them. From Mark Overmars' pass, Grimandi found himself in acres of space and unchallenged had time to pick his spot. He was hitting a purple patch. This was his third goal in 3 games, giving Arsène Wenger the type of selection problem most managers could only dream of. Another marvellous goal in an FA Cup semi-final, and once again Spurs were the victims, this time from the head of midfield general Patrick Vieira. Robert Pires sending in the perfect free kick. Vieira loses his marker to rise above Chris Perry. A combination of physical and mental strength that makes the Frenchman such a potent force. It's one thing to claim a resounding victory in a fiery FA Cup derby, but when the approach play and finishing are as good as this, it becomes something very special.
Oh, it's Wiltor again! He's turned this FA Cup tie around. Just static. And then on the move. Too quick for Chelsea. The approach play by Lauren. A second for Sylvain Wiltor.
Robert Pires and Patrick Vieira combining in the Arsenal attack to devastating effect.
But it's Arsenal coming forward again now with Vieira. Slipped onto Wiltor. The angle was a bit too tight. Oh, it wasn't for Pires. And it's 2-1 Arsenal. Wonderful service, and Pires just stroked it in. It was all about the Frenchman indeed. Here's Vieira, here's Wiltor. Look at Pires now. Doherty hasn't seen him. He hasn't seen him. Wiltor with time to look up and pick out Pires.
This was the tie that Arsenal had to win twice. In an unprecedented move, Arsene Wenger offered Sheffield United the chance of a rematch after Mark Overmars had scored a goal deemed unsportsmanlike. Having scored the opener in the replay, he was also instrumental in a goal that can only be described as superlative. Overmars' searching ball finds Ray Parlour on the right. He in turn picks out Dennis Bergkamp to score the sort of goal that became his trademark. An effortless chip combining vision and deftness of touch. The 1993 FA Cup final was Arsenal's third trip to Wembley in the space of 6 weeks.
It's on from Linnigan and in from Ian Wright, 1-1 at Wembley. Well, the top gunner there just when Arsenal needed him. And two really important headers from the team from Highbury.
An impressive all-round performance saw Arsenal cruise past Blackburn Rovers in the 2001 FA Cup quarter-final.
The play by Ljungberg and from Bergkamp. Here's Wiltor. Perez has gone streaking through the middle. Here is Perez. One touch, two touch, super goal. Wonderful work from Arsenal, and Perez was there to round it all off. That is a magnificent goal. Yep, he knows the part that Wiltor played in it. He'd seen the run there of Perez, he's picked him out superbly. A class goal from a class player. Look at his control here. Not too much that Friedel could do.
Alan Sunderland was an integral component in the Arsenal team from the moment Terry Neill signed him from Wolves in November 1977. The frizzy-haired forward saved his best goals for the FA Cup. This strike gave Arsenal a 3-0 lead in the fifth round tie against Walsall. David Price had his shot deflected. Sunderland was in the perfect position to make a cool finish 4 minutes from half-time. Kevin Campbell's pace and power earned him favourable comparisons with the great Malcolm MacDonald, but in 1992 he was finding goals hard to come by. That made this strike against Ipswich all the more enjoyable. It was his first goal in 3 months, sealing a 4-2 quarter-final victory against the East Anglian club. Paul Davis heading on for Campbell to restore a 2-goal advantage for the visitors. The inspirational Dutchman Overmars helped to secure the second part of Arsenal's double with the opening goal in the cup final.
Here's Tati, hoping to play a part in France's World Cup campaign. Happy touch and go. The likes of Anelka and Vieira also very much in the reckoning. Here's Overmars, will be there for the Dutch team. He's through here and has scored! Mark Overmars for Arsenal! Halfway through the first half, and well, Newcastle were warned, it had been coming.
Well, you give space behind your defence, and with this pace that Arsenal have got, he gets the other side of Pistone, gets his body across him, Pistone can't touch him, and as Shay Given comes out, just tucks it through his legs. It's a delightful little ball from Petit, but just look at the pace of Overmars.
French star Nicolas Anelka capped a memorable season in North London with the second goal in the 98 Cup final.
Vieira. This is Ray Parlour. Anelka onside. Anelka's away. Good strike! No mistake this time. He spurned a golden opportunity in the first half, but has now tucked this one away with great aplomb.
Well, what did we say about certainly being careful about playing square? And look how square Newcastle were. And once Anelka's the other side of Steve Howe there is no way anybody's going to catch him. And it's a superb strike with Shea given no chance whatsoever.
Malcolm MacDonald had the nickname Super Mac, and here he showed why. The London-born striker showing great awareness to score a last-minute winner against Wolves, his 13th goal of this season. The former Newcastle United man flicking the header just beyond Paul Bradshaw in the Wolves goal. Arsenal were on their way to face another team from the West Midlands, Walsall, in the next round. In a rerun of the previous season's cup final, Dennis Bergkamp took sweet revenge for Arsenal with the only goal of the game.
Van Bronckhorst, good ball for Henry. 1-0 Arsenal. Great ball in from Thierry Henry, and the deadlock is broken. Dennis Bergkamp, cup specialist, strikes again. Wonderful move started by Henry. Good 1-2 with Van Bronckhorst and Bergkamp flying in to power the near post header past Dudek.
Charlie George, an Arsenal fan who supported his team from the terraces as a boy and who never gave up working for the Arsenal cause. The Gunners were 2-0 down in the 73 semi-final against Sunderland, but this second-half goal from the Londoner threw Arsenal a lifeline. Ultimately, it would prove futile as Arsenal went on to lose 2-1. Sunderland would lift the cup that year with victory over Leeds in the final. Frank Stapleton had abundant natural talent, but it was sheer hard graft that brought it all to the fore. It was just such dedication on the training pitch that paid off with the skill demonstrated here, curling this shot into the Watford goal as Arsenal headed for their third consecutive cup final appearance. Liam Brady with the through ball for his fellow Irishman, Stapleton with his second goal of the game. Sylvain Wiltord with a deft touch to finish a flowing move that started inside Arsenal's own penalty area.
Kanu, there's a big gap on that left-hand side. Vieira, Edu. Good save by the keeper, they've got to get it clear. 1-0 Arsenal. Wiltord on target. Jeffers drew a fine save from the keeper, and that little arrogant flick there at the end by Wiltord was enough.
In the second half of this game, the floodgates opened as the Gillingham defence shipped 4 goals. The pick of the bunch, a volley by Ray Parlour.
Arsenal's FA Cup record in recent years has been truly magnificent. They've lost only 2 of their last 26 ties. This is when. Is there another goal? Oh, it's probably the best of the lot. Ray Parlour makes it 5. Not an easy chance by any stretch of the imagination. What a great volley there by Ray Parlour. This is his first goal since last April. He's waited a long time to find one, but this will give him a lot of satisfaction. 5-2 to Arsenal. They're in round 6 of the FA Cup.
Christopher Wray followed Arsene Wenger to Arsenal from Monaco, the Liberian international signing for £3 million. His goal against Wolves in the 1998 semi-final was worthy of an acrobatic celebration. It was the only goal of this match played at Villa Park. Patrick Vieira was the architect with a powerful run from midfield, drawing in the Wolves' defence before releasing Ray into the right-hand channel. A goal even his cousin George Weah would have been proud of. John Radford was a vital member of Arsenal's 70-71 double-winning team. His career goal tally stands third only to Cliff Bastin and Ian Wright. He showed his speed and strength with this header for Arsenal's second goal of the game against Yeovil. The Yorkshire-born centre-forward's unceasing work rate and tactical acumen were central to the team's success that season. This was Edu's first FA Cup goal, the Brazilian with a clear message to his coach: "Put your shirt on me."
Ljungberg. Great pressure now by Arsenal. Wiltord. Great cross, 1-0 Arsenal. Edu scores. It comes against the run of play. And after 14 minutes of virtually incessant pressure by Newcastle, it's Edu who scores the opening goal.
Returning to the team after a long injury layoff, Charlie George lit up a dark evening at Main Road with a determined individual goal. The Londoner picking up the ball inside his own half and running the length of a sodden Main Road pitch. In natural ability, George lacked nothing. This breathtaking strike from a wayward Arsenal star earned his side a fourth-round replay.
Parlour is there again. Here's Merson. Oh, it's a stunner! George Graham's side have come back from 2 goals down with 2 crackerjack goals. First Parlour, and here Paul Merson. They let him check onto his right foot. That spelt danger. Some comeback from Arsenal.
Ian Wright's second goal in this 5th round tie against Nottingham Forest, a strike to rival the opener.
Arsenal on the move again, and Ian Wright is on the move again. Still right. Still right. Absolutely all right for Arsenal. It's his second, and it's another collector's item. Well, his pace and his verve and his self-belief, too much for Nottingham Forest.
George Armstrong, affectionately known as Geordie, and the heart of the engine room that powered Arsenal in the 1970s. He was in the perfect position to score this goal, giving Arsenal a 2-goal lead against Coventry. Armstrong remains one of the most accomplished players never to have won a full England Cup. John Matthews netted the final goal in Arsenal's 3-0 victory. It was his first goal for the club. The cross came in from Brian Kidd. There was just a touch on from Alan Ball, and Matthews opened his Arsenal account. The teenager went on to make 26 starts for the club in his first season in the first team, but his Arsenal career then stalled and he would leave to join Sheffield United 4 years later. This would prove Robert Pires' final goal of the season. An injury later in the game and he would miss the rest of Arsenal's double-winning campaign.
Here's Luzhny playing right back for Arsenal ahead of Lee Dixon, who's on the bench. Clever spin then by Bergkamp, and Pires! What a start for Arsenal! Only just inside the second minute, and Robert Pires has stunned Newcastle with a fantastic finish. Bergkamp's spin rather reminiscent of his goal at St James's Park, the way he lost the defender. O'Brien was the man he left trailing in his wake. No one had picked up Pires in time. They weren't tight on him. And that was beautifully placed beyond Shea Given into the corner.
Dennis Bergkamp grabbed a second goal for Arsenal 10 minutes after Pires had opened the scoring.
Some good flowing football again from Arsenal. Pires, Bergkamp's in the middle. It's 2-0 now. A fabulous counter-attack launched then by Arsenal and finished by Bergkamp. They are off to a flyer here. And the move leaves you drooling. But look at the space that Bergkamp has in the middle. Defenders have been sucked in over there. No one has seen Bergkamp. Pires has. Found it beautifully, and it's 2 inside 10 minutes.
Nicolas Anelka arrived at Highbury in time for the start of the 1996-97 season, but it was in the following term when he truly burst onto the scene, playing a pivotal role in Arsenal's 97-98 double-winning campaign. The Frenchman scored 3 goals in Arsenal's FA Cup run, none better than this chip over the Crystal Palace goalkeeper Kevin Miller for the opening goal in Arsenal's 5th round London derby clash at Selhurst Park. Another member of Arsenal's French Foreign Legion. Sylvain Wiltor's biggest asset is his blistering pace. The French flyer uses his speed to good effect here to get the better of the Carlisle defence. A 1-0 victory, sufficient to see Arsenal safely through to the next round. Arsenal's third-round tie with Farnborough Town was switched to Highbury over safety concerns, but there would be no giant killing by the non-league club.
Pires. Toure. 2-0. This time it's Jeffers. Arsenal have found that right flank very, very profitable so far this afternoon, and it was so again. Gregory sucked into the edge of the penalty area, chased the ball. Toure found the space, and Jeffers managed to get between 3 or 4 Farnborough players to steer the ball home.
The Cameroon international showing the difference in class as the FA Cup holders dispatch non-league Farnborough 5-1.
Jeffers on a hat-trick, screams for the ball to be put back to him, but Lauren takes the selfish route and justifies it. Lovely ball over the top, great close control. Laurent playing at fullback these days for Arsenal, but was a free running midfielder in his days with Real Mallorca. Just hark back to those times with a lovely crisp finish.
Alan Sunderland found his best form for Arsenal when he moved from a midfield role to form an attacking partnership with Frank Stapleton. He showed how dangerous he could be in front of goal, bagging the equaliser in this semi-final replay at Villa Park. The Yorkshireman adding a goal in the replay to the goal he'd scored in the first game against Liverpool. Alan Ball, one of the world's premier midfield talents. He signed for Arsenal in 1971 for a then British record of £220,000, and he opened the scoring here for Arsenal against Carlisle United. Pat Rice knocked the ball down for the World Cup winner to curl the shot around the keeper from 6 yards out. Dennis Martin would equalise for the home side, but Frank McClintock headed a goal in the second half to ensure Arsenal's progress to the quarter-finals. Ray Parlour with the opener in Arsenal's FA Cup final victory over London rivals Chelsea.
Ray Parlour. Still Parlour. Got a side of goal! And what a goal from Ray Parlour!
What a goal, Peter. Quite right too. Carlo Cudicini never had a chance with that. The great break from the middle of the field. Viltord was exceptional. Took away two players, slips it through to Ray Parlour. The problem that the Chelsea defenders had, they backed off Ray too much, and he's got quality, Ray Parlour. It's a fantastic strike. What a goal to set this cup final alight. Poor old Carlo Cudicini. Nothing to do with it. Right in the top corner. Great goal.
In 1979, Alan Sunderland was again in action against his former club in the FA Cup, this time in a semi-final at Villa Park. And again, Sunderland got on the score sheet. It was the second goal of the afternoon after Frank Stapleton had put the Gunners into the lead. For Arsenal, the reward would be a place in the final against Manchester United at Wembley. John Radford established himself as a huge crowd favourite at Highbury after making his debut in 1963. He was named Arsenal's Player of the Year in 68 and again in 74. And he delighted the Arsenal fans at Filbert Street in 1975 with a diving header against Leicester. The fearless centre forward on hand to guide home Brian Kidd's cross in this fifth round replay. In 1991, Arsenal travelled to the racecourse ground for a potentially tricky third-round meeting with Wrexham. Alan Smith opened the scoring for the North London club, stretching out the foot to prod the ball home after Paul Merson made an incisive run. Still, Arsenal would end up victims of a famous FA Cup giant killing, as goals by Mickey Thomas and then Steve Watkin sent Wrexham, then in the old 4th Division, through to the next round. Over a decade later, and Oxford United hoped to pull off a similar cup shock at Highbury. But Dennis Bergkamp at Arsenal made light work of this third-round tie. A classic Arsenal move, the quick feet of Francis Jeffers putting Bergkamp in on goal. the Dutchman with a delicate chip over the advancing keeper, and Arsenal went on to record a comfortable 2-0 victory. In 1972, the county ground was the venue for Arsenal's third-round meeting with Swindon Town, and they safely navigated a boggy pitch and cold January conditions. George Armstrong had opened the scoring before Alan Ball added the second here. The header on from George Graham, the square pass by Ray Kennedy, setting up the midfielder for his first Arsenal goal. Sylvain Wiltord has a reputation for scoring important goals. This, the decisive second against arch-rivals Manchester United in 2003.
This is Campbell. Perez, who doesn't really have a position. Adu, striding purposefully forward, a good ball inside to Wiltord. It could be two, and it is! Beautifully worked goal from Arsenal. And now they are really at the driving seat. Sylvain Wiltord. Such a perfect ball through that from Adu, and a really clinical finish too from the Frenchman Sylvain Wiltord. The man whose goal clinched the title here for Arsenal back in May of last year, deceiving Wes Brown and Barthez as well. And Manchester United are in big, big trouble.
Arsenal's epic fourth-round struggle with Leeds United in 1991 went to 3 replays. In the third game at Elland Road, this goal by Paul Merson finally won it for Arsenal. Merson started his run inside his own half, and it finished with a clipped strike inside the near post to beat former teammate John Lukic, now in the Leeds United goal. This strike by Dennis Bergkamp completed Arsenal's 6-0 thrashing of London rivals QPR.
Alviera to Bergkamp, surely it must be here. It's 6 for Arsenal, and it's Dennis Bergkamp. Well, they were open up so easily here, Rangers. And a fine finish from the former Dutch international Dennis Bergkamp. McCloskey committed, nothing he could do from there. Just waited his moment, Bergkamp. A quality strike from a quality player.
Brian Talbot, the workhorse at the heart of the Arsenal midfield, and his industry was rewarded with 7 cup goals for Arsenal. Liam Brady was the architect of this one. It came in the 4th round against Notts County. A jinking run from the Irish international down the left, setting up the former Ipswich Town man for the second goal of the game. As Arsenal took on Chelsea in a rerun of the previous year's cup final, they needed a little bit of Henry magic to force a replay.
He's clear here and onside, Henry! Away from Cudicini! I spoke too soon! That's a measure of the man. You think you have him under control, and then he responds like that. Finishing of the highest quality. But look at the skill here to wrong-foot Cudicini. That is fantastic. Vieira spotted Henry's run. Once again, Chelsea caught out as they tried to play the offside trap. It didn't work. And Henry has punished them fully.
Alan Smith was the archetypal centre-forward that George Graham had been looking for to lead the line at Arsenal. He repaid the manager's faith, scoring 115 goals for Arsenal after signing in 1987. This was a typical poacher's goal from the former Leicester City man. A knockdown by Tony Adams, setting Smith up for the opening goal of this game. Arsenal defender adding his physical presence to the attack to score the third goal in the 6th round victory over Newcastle.
He has Campbell to aim for, looking for his first FA Cup goal for Arsenal, and he's got it. It was a towering header from Sol Campbell. A third goal for Arsenal, and you would think now it's beyond Bobby Robson's team to pull this one out of the fire. A really determined header then by Campbell. Remember, he scored at St James's Park in the league game recently, and he has done it again.
Dennis Bergkamp with the equaliser for Arsenal as the London club looked to deny Manchester United a place in the 1999 Cup final.
Winterberg. Now Bergkamp. Deflected. Goal! Well, never underestimate the fighting spirit of Arsenal. They pulled it back to 1-1. Bergkamp set off like a man with a mission and made his own luck. It was a big deflection, Schmeichel no chance. But Arsenal, they deserve it, they're level.
Sylvain Wiltord with the opening goal in this quarter-final replay at Stamford Bridge.
Here's Vieira storming forward now then for Arsenal. Jeffers up ahead of him, so is Wiltord. It's a great chance here for Sylvain Wiltord, and it's two! Absolutely lethal on the counter-attack. That is a magnificent goal. All started from here with Vieira striding through the middle. Hasselbaink always struggling to stay with him, and he set up Wiltord, and what a good finish that is. Just picked his moment, waited for Kudacini to commit himself before knocking it past him. Beautiful little ball from Vieira into his path.
A marvellous individual goal from a Cameroon international to clinch a 3-1 victory for Arsenal.
Parler to Lauren. Arsenal seeking to restore the 2-goal cushion. Still Lauren, he's gone all the way and it's in! And suddenly Arsenal are back in total control. He was prepared to take them all on here. You can see how wide he was out initially. Away from Zenden, there was no tackle on him. John Terry stood off, and even Kudacini, for all his brilliance, couldn't get down in time. I think he just got his hand to it. He could only guide it into that empty net.
"30 years earlier, Arsenal took on Chelsea in an FA Cup quarter-final at Stamford Bridge. With the score at 1-1, Charlie George put Arsenal into the lead. Ray Kennedy's initial shot had been blocked, only to fall for George, who made no mistake with his finish. A John Hollins equaliser would take this one to a replay, but Arsenal would win it, thanks to goals by Kennedy and Alan Ball. After scoring the equaliser for Arsenal in the 1993 Cup final, it seemed fitting that Ian Wright should score the opener in the replay 5 days later. The Arsenal legend showing electric pace to beat the Sheffield Wednesday offside trap, running onto Alan Smith's through ball. Arsenal wouldn't have this cup final replay all their own way. Chris Waddle equalised for Sheffield Wednesday, and it looked as though the game would go to penalties when Arsenal finally snatched a winner. It came in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. The unlikely hero, Andy Linnigan, the defender rising to power the header past Chris Woods for a goal that would guarantee him a place in Highbury folklore. It was Dennis Bergkamp who scored the goal to complete Arsenal's 4-2 rout of First Division Watford. It came from an attacking move that showed Arsenal to be in a different class to the opposition. Sylvain Viltor's pass split the Watford defence. Ashley Cole with the square pass, leaving Bergkamp with an easy finish. Lee Dixon made over 550 appearances for Arsenal as part of the defence on which the club's success was built. For all his glory in the FA Cup with Arsenal, he only scored one goal. Just as well it was a cracker. The defender playing a neat 1-2 before bursting into the Leeds penalty area to finish at the far post. A Swedish international producing a sublime curling shot to secure a 2-0 victory for Arsenal in the 2002 Cup final.
Here's Ljungberg. Still Freddie Ljungberg. Oh, what a finish! And is that the goal now that has sealed the FA Cup on the first time of the double for Arsenal?
My word, what a fantastic goal. We have seen two goals of sheer quality this afternoon. Freddie Ljungberg's strength, his pace, his power was fantastic, and then he had the composure to steady himself. Here we see Eidur Gudjohnsen losing possession of the ball. And from here on in, it's Freddie Ljungberg. Watch him go past these two. John Cherry makes a vain attempt to pick him up. His power takes him there. But this is the thing when you get there, your composure to stick it where you want to stick it. And Ljungberg has been one of the players that has been in sublime form over the last couple of months. Look at him, steadies himself, sees where Carlo positions himself and bends it around him, starting it a yard outside the upright into the far corner. Two absolutely magnificent goals for the Arsenal.
And that's it. We hope you've enjoyed reliving some of Arsenal's finest FA Cup goals over the years. From me, Paul Dempsey, goodbye.